I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, so that was how many people? Five pro board members? 5-0, all approved. Any public comment? We have Matt Thompson here tonight. I don't know if we want to kind of jump right in and talk to him. He emailed earlier today about creating a trail on the White Clay Crescent Preserve, in the White Clay Crescent Preserve. Matt, do you want to chat about that a little bit?
Yeah, I just I guess in looking at the local maps, I noticed, there's that property up there. I've never actually even, truth be told, I've never been up there. I just know that there's a chunk of land back there. And it's just kind of sitting there. So I didn't know if it was worth putting a trail through it. If that would even be something that could be entertained. That's basically where I'm coming from. It could kind of, I think, in some shape or form, add to what's currently over in Banffshire. It could, in theory, kind of, it could be connected by going on the road. It could be part of Banffshire as well. So anyway, it was just something I was thinking about. So I just thought I would throw it out there and see what the thoughts were.
So yeah, I've had a trail on the map for a while, and there is a kind of a logical loop that you would put on there. There's a few highlights like along the stream. It's very nice, and some huge trees in the back, and then there's a house that spans the creek. So it's, you wouldn't go on their property, of course, but we could see it from our property. It's kind of interesting. I'd want to stay back from their property just out of courtesy, but it's an interesting viewpoint. And then, it just makes a loop, and there's an old road bed that you could follow coming back up the hill. So that would make sense to use that. Yep. It's already cut in. But I never really pursued it because it's just a small property, half the size of Banffshire. And the access is pretty difficult. Like getting up there, you really need a 4-wheel drive vehicle or a bike, Yep. But it's steep and rocky. And then the parking is at the top. So,
yep. But would it, I guess my thought, would it necessarily even need parking? Do you
No, I'm just commenting that limits the number of users to walkers or bikers, or 4-wheel drive people.
Yep.
And it's never really been well marked. We've talked a few times over the years. We need a small sign on the front of the driveway because it's a shared driveway to just say White Clay Crescent Preserve or something. But until we had trails up there was no use pointing people up there.
Exactly.
The hunters know where it is. They drive up, they park, they're fine. And then, I was working on some other continuations of the trail to go into the next township. And so my idea was once I had that, then it would be a really hot item to get a trail up there.
That's where my mind goes. There could be, depending on what some of those neighboring properties think, there could be a way to connect up to Mercer Mill.
Yeah.
If there's some people that would be interested. And then maybe you could cross the stream and get up into like the backside of Glenlock Drive up in that area. So now you start creating that connectivity through all that stuff.
Yeah, it's on our trail map, potential future trails. It's not
Yep.
We have no rights or anything. It's not in our township, but I've been talking to people over there. I've made some progress, so maybe we'll talk offline about it. I don't want to reveal anything because no decisions have been made.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting a decision. It was something that kind of popped into my mind. Something I was thinking about. Look, it's not like I don't have enough other stuff that I'm keep going here in the township. So
We would definitely be criticized for not having public access. Like, we do not provide good public access to that preserve, and that's always a condition of taking the grant money. You know, we got that preserve for very inexpensive. The township paid very little money because we were able to get grants to cover the cost of purchasing. We weren't interested in purchasing it, but we couldn't get money to preserve it, but we could get money to purchase it. So that's
Yeah.
how we ended up owning it. But it does make a nice link to follow the White Clay Creek Middle Branch as the Chester County Planning Commission has laid out, to try to follow that all the way up to West Grove.
yep.
So, yeah, that's an exciting topic. Maybe in the next few months, we could take a walk out there, meaning the open space pro board. You know, anybody who wants to go is welcome, and I could show you my idea of what we laid out years ago. But I don't want to be accused of disrupting the hunting season, so we'll have to check the hunting calendar and make sure nobody's, you know, picked that day for hunting.
Yep.
Okay, well, I like it.
Okay. That was, I mean, that's kind of all I got. So, you know,
How is there any progress on the trail that goes north of Crossan up into the vineyard?
it's there. It's in.
Is it open for use, like, or
Open.
what's the rules?
It's open. It's currently open and being used, probably mostly by me, but it's open. Velo Me purchased signs for it to put at either end, kind of saying, you know, you're entering private property, stay on the trail. I'm now working with Dale Hendricks across the street.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's on board with putting something through his property. And my next big chunk is to try and there's a property that is along North Creek, and I'm trying to get access through that to now connect it to North Creek Road.
Yeah, great.
And then if you're connected to North Creek, then you could either cut through Glenlock, that little development there, or it's a quick ride up Chesterville, quick left on North Creek, and then you're back on trail. So fingers crossed that, I forget the guy's name on North Creek. I'm hoping to try and track him down and see what his thoughts are, because that's kind of the missing link. So, but yeah, go check out the trail at Paradox. It's in. Go take a walk and then go back and get a drink.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yep. So,
Well, thanks for all your trail work, Matt. That's great.
yep. And I'll
Thank
be
you for coming and proposing this tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Feel free to email me or whatever,
Well,
you know, and
I spoke up, Matt, but I didn't know if anybody else on the pro board had any other comments about it. Like, does anybody walk that area, or, you know, have any comments on the trails back there? Look at
My only
Greg
concern
Sachs
would be
playing
the
in house.
parking. Like, where is that okay to be like, well, you need a 4-wheel drive to get up, but that's it. Like, is that access okay?
I mean, technically, like, for the Gagan Trail on the Ford Farm, there's no parking. We labeled the parking as the township building, and you have to walk across the street. So similarly, you could say park at Bamshire parking lot and walk down the street. I mean, it's not as close, but that, I think, would be a viable option for people who don't have 4-wheel drive. But like I said, I never really pushed the signage to get people up in there, since there's nothing to do at the top. You know, there's no trails, no nothing. So
is it heavily vegetated? Like, could you walk through there if you really wanted to, or is it pretty?
no, absolutely. The reason it was preserved is because it's huge, mature forest.
Older growth,
Really
yeah.
well-developed forest.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the lot owner to the east clear cut just when we preserved it. So it was a real drastic difference you could see between the preserved forest and clear cut. It's grown back quite a bit now, but it was sad to see those other trees go, but they weren't on Franklin property. But yeah, I mean, of course, in the winter, Matt, it's much easier to navigate.
Sure. Yep.
But
yeah, I mean, I might just pop over there one day on my own and just kind of poke through there and see, you know,
Yeah.
Again, you know, full disclosure, I've never even been up in there. I just, you know,
well, it's like Bamshire, it's steep.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of frontage, obviously, on the creek, and there's some old stone walls down there. So you could
cool.
see there was clearly I mean, on the bank of the creek is a stone wall. So it was either a bridge abutment or a dam. I can't find anything on the old
Yeah.
map to tell me what it was, but
Yep.
definitely a human structure down there. And then the old road that leads to that.
It could be cool to, get people in there and see that stuff. So anyway, and again, just, I'm coming at this from, I want to be able to ride a bike in there. So that's my angle, of course.
Yep. You better have a low gear.
If, if people can use it, I think, it seems a shame to have this land and nobody can get in there. easily.
Yeah, I think, and what is it? It's 30 acres or 29 acres or something like that.
So could be, nice little loop back in there. So, and then if I'm not mistaken, the properties I'm talking about on Mercer Mill, they're not actually Franklin
No,
Township, they're London, Britain.
correct.
Okay, all right. Now, I guess I got to go get friendly with London, Britain Township now. So, okay, well, that's it. Like I said, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss and just kind of throw it out there and see what people thought. So,
Mary, did you have any other comments? I think I cut you off.
No, that was all. I was just questioning the parking.
Yeah,
would
like-
is there any possibility for like parking at the end of the drive?
no,
No.
the driveway is owned by the neighbor. We only
Okay.
have a right of way to use the
Yep.
driveway. And
Okay,
then when the driveway splits, it's a very steep gravel. The first 25 feet or something, we put in big heavy stone to prevent erosion. There was water running down. And then beyond that, it's just a dirt gravel driveway.
you got all those old millings. Throw some of those millings on there and it'll tighten up.
Yeah, it's not eroding anymore, but it's so narrow and steep. There's nowhere to put a parking lot until
Yeah,
you're
right.
at the top. So you have to climb that hill in a vehicle if you want to drive there.
Yeah,
Is that, I mean, you could park at the bottom in one spot, you clog up the driveway.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Well, unless you think you need me, I might jump off.
Gonna
So
miss the excitement.
there's only so much I can handle in a night.
Oh, gosh. Thanks, Matt.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Moving on, let's see,
Well- Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to follow up just to say we should, as a group, we said months ago, we should as a group go explore some of the preserves, and maybe we can do that one as a group just to, experience it and see what it's about and what the pros and cons of it.
I agree.
Well, if you see fit, I would like to come along unless I'm not invited.
I only said that because I thought you dropped off already. No, I said we could all go together.
Yeah, so I'd certainly be interested in meeting everybody. So,
Yeah,
Alright.
we could extend the invitation to the board too, if the pro's comfortable with that. I think it's definitely a positive, right, to explain what's out there and figure out together how to move
sure.
things forward.
For sure.
so one more thing before I jump off, I am going to be up at the Fall Fest, and I plan on having some maps up there. And I'm going to kind of do an overlay of the map and show kind of my idea of how these things can start being connected, through private property and that sort of stuff, in hopes that people are. So anyway, it's, again, I have a sickness. I sit on Chesco Views and I just look at maps and how we can get from spot to spot. So
That's
Yeah, I
good.
think just be careful. And I'm all for what you're doing, but just to say that it's proposed or maybe done.
oh yeah, yeah.
So they,
Well, Donna,
nobody
one
gets
thing,
freaked out. Yeah.
is Matt's not affiliated with Franklin Township, so it's just a guy at a bike group putting lines on a map. It's not our.
I'm just some crazy guy that
Yeah,
well-
you know what I
Yeah, in a bike
mean?
group.
People get, and
you guys could totally throw me under the bus. We
yeah,
have
we
no
don't want to
idea
throw you
who
under
this
the
dude
bus.
is.
It's just some ideas, things for consideration.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
so-
no, I totally
Yeah,
thought that.
okay.
I'd like, there'd be, hey, look, this is just kind of what I'm thinking in my mind. And, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but yeah.
And you're just trying to get interest, like for other people who would be interested in possibly joining your group and
Absolutely.
that initiative. And I was going to say, whatever that sickness is, I think Paul also has it because I think he hangs out on just.
I do.
Yeah, my wife just looks at me and shakes her head. I'm sure for other reasons, but that.
Well, you know, if you've ever been to a place that has trails, through trails, it's very exciting and so welcoming and what a asset to the community. You know, it's just incredible that what we could have here just to coordinate. Someone needs to coordinate it and make it happen.
We
It's a
could truly,
long-term effort.
we could truly get from West Grove all the way down to Newark on trails.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
We're
it could
close.
it could totally happen, and that's like my mission before I die. So, turning
Well, make
50
sure you
soon,
go
so
look.
I got to pick the pace up a little bit.
Make sure you go look at the trail map proposal we have on the Franklin website.
Oh, I have.
All right.
So, all right, thanks, guys. All right, I'm leaving.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Alrighty, so on to old business. First item I have is the You Are Here maps for Crossan Park. I think Mary and Kyle were going to be working on that. I know that everyone has been very busy. Mary, you were working on stuff for the Fall Fun Day. Have you had a chance to do anything with that? We were talking about animating a map or trying to, make it a little bit more fun.
I have been working on the QR maps, and then I actually started doing the I don't know how to pronounce the Gohegan trail map, and then I was working on White Clay Crescent trail map, which is why I knew to ask about the parking.
It's Gagan.
Gagan. Okay. I can spell it.
I can't spell it, but I can pronounce it. Gagan.
Kyle, have you worked on anything? I know I didn't reach out. I'm so sorry.
No, I was waiting to get the map and then start doing it from you.
Okay, well, we'll just,
Okay.
I mean, again, I know everyone kind of has other things they're working on and Mary was pretty focused on that stuff for the Fall Fun Day. So, so I think we'll circle back around in a month or so, next month.
Do we have a little scavenger hunt mappy thing for the Fall Fest?
I never did put anything together. I was
Dawn
not
doing
able to. Say again?
Wasn't Dawn doing it? Did I make that up?
Well, I think she said that she might talk to Stacy about it, but I don't know that she was going to actually do it.
Okay.
I'm looking back at my notes real quick and make sure I didn't miss something.
Maybe Jeff has a comment on that because I think Jeff was asking for our help. Is my recollection.
I think you're right.
I know that, just keep in mind that Dawn had back surgery. She had been dealing with that. I can tell you it's nothing I've been working on, the scavenger hunt, and I don't think Stacy has either. I can't speak to her 100%, but it's not something that's come up in conversation between the two of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been fun. I just honestly have not had time. And I mean, maybe it's something, and I feel like we kind of had to throw some of this stuff together pretty quickly. So, I fully anticipate, that it'll be a success and we'll do it again next year, the Fall Fun Day. And so then maybe we have a bit more time to prepare for it and create those, the scavenger hunt or the geocache thing you guys were talking about. Unless somebody has some great desire to get it done in the next week. Anyone? No? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see. So the You Are Here maps, we're going to circle back around next month.
Wait, were they for the Franklin Day or they're just for general?
Just in general. So we were talking about two different things. So the You Are Here map we were talking about, that is just something that we're going to try and provide and put in Crossan at some point. Yeah. The treasure hunt or geocache thing or whatever we had talked about as a separate item for.
Okay. I was mixing them together. I was mixing them up. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, we already have geocache in Crossan Park, Franklin Preserve, and Bamshire.
Okay, so is that something we could very easily kind of, if we had just like a little printout on it, people could go searching for it? Like, do we even need to do that or?
No, they just all, they get on a website. There's a lot of geocache websites, and then they just find it and pick a treasure near them or wherever they want to be and go look for it.
Okay, all right. So we could always mention that to somebody, but it sounds like there's going to be a lot to keep people occupied at the fall fun day. So again, maybe we, we're talking about kind of two separate things here, but for that element, that treasure hunt type element or whatever, maybe we'll work on that for next year's fall fun day.
For Fall Fest, what did we end up doing printing the maps? Are they all 11 by 7, or I'm sorry, 8.5 by 11, or did we end up doing larger ones?
So I think Stacy said she did print them on the 11 by 17, and I had called Jeff to see what our size options were, and he called me back, and I had not gotten back to him yet, but I did talk to Stacy, and she said that if we wanted it printed on a different size, that she could do that. Jeff, can you tell us what size options there were for the maps?
I mean, I can go as big as 36 by 48,
So
anything in between.
If I could suggest, Jeff, 24 by 30, I think is a standard size for the formatting, or whatever proportion you need for the maps you have. That way it fits on the table. When you get 4 feet wide and try to keep it on a 3-foot table, it doesn't work. So 24 by 30.
I think the usual ratio is 24 by 36.
Okay. Whatever the ratio is, I think.
Mary, do you want all the maps to be that size, or just the Crossin Park, Franklin Preserve, and then the others on smaller?
I was figuring the large one would be the Crossin Franklin Trail map, and then the 11 by 17 could be the Crossin like actual park map. Other than that, I really had no thoughts.
I would put a big map of the 4 preserves, 24 by 30 or 36, whatever it is, like on the table. And that's like your tablecloth. There's 4 big ones, and then you can talk about them as people come up. And then you can make a smaller one of the Crossin 11 by 17. But I thought that would be our main attraction, 4 big maps to talk about.
Okay. I will email Stacy back tomorrow morning and clarify for her the sizes we need on those maps then.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
What's up, Jeff?
Nothing.
Okay, you had a look.
Nope. I'm just trying to get through a migraine headache today.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that
Sorry.
is the worst. Okay. All right. So I'll email Stacy in the morning. Next on our list, Jeff, did you ever get a chance to look at the handicap spots down the lower parking lot at Crossin Park?
I did. The signs are ordered. We have the supplies in. And I was contacted by a member of FSA who wants to put them in. So I anticipate them going up next week.
Awesome.
So Jeff, we weren't sure if painting was also required, and you were going to check with our engineer, Ron Reagan, to see if we had to do paint and sign or just one would suffice.
One would suffice. He said, start with the signs. He said, when you get the parking lot seal coated, then do the stencils.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. The path between the soccer fields and the parking lot at Crossin, we talked a lot about last meeting. I think the plan was to all go walk it together.
Yeah.
Right?
Donna asked that I take the Board of Supervisors there to show them what we were talking about. And I suggested I wait until the underbrush is a little died back, because it's just hard to see the slopes and landscape right now. So I just said I'd wait till it's winter.
And Paul, that's where you took us that other day.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it is very overgrown, so I would say, yeah, closer to October.
yeah.
Okay.
So
And
I'd
it
say
looks
just
like that-
shelf that one until we get a board agreement or something.
Okay. All right. Do you want to do that at the same? I feel like it's going to be a lot if we try and do that at the same time as we at least explore all the other preserves. Should we?
No.
That should be two separate occasions,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, each preserve would be its own
Its own adventure, right?
adventure, yes.
And I know it's not on here, but is it possible when we were there that we could go over more about, you were explaining to us the location for like a possible zip line and stuff like that. Maybe we could use that as an
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
it's a good one. Thanks.
Okay. All right, so we've shelved that one. Next item is the fall fun day. So we touched on this a little bit. Jeff and Stacy, we're going to print maps. I'll email Stacy in the morning. We also sent over, I created a document so that people could write down their information if they're interested in volunteering. And I'm just looking through to make sure. And then she also printed the open space brochure and newsletter. And so I think that was all we wanted to bring with us. Am I correct? Am I missing anything?
Were we gonna do the frequent asked questions on open space? Were we gonna throw that in there?
We can. So she says she has the open spaces brochure, the volunteer sign up, the maps with the QR codes. I can ask her to do that frequently asked questions one.
Does anybody have the sign up sheet? Because remember, I would mention that we don't want to use the standard sign up that is a legal document. You're signing your life away. We just want the one that says, please express your interests.
Yes, I did. I created a document. I can share that with you right now.
No, I trust you. That's great.
Okay. I kept it very basic.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that is already printed, but okay. So I guess we should discuss who can attend, who's going to be there to help that day. So that is Saturday, September 16th. Is that correct? The 16th. I believe the event's from 12 to 5. Do I have that right? Yes.
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 Okay. So what is everyone's availability? I know my son has a soccer game that day, so I may show up. I may be there a little bit late. I could always go early to help set up, but I'll have to leave there for a little bit at the beginning. And I'm certainly happy to come take, over on the tail end too. Is anyone else available? Can anyone else help out at the table?
I'm available all day.
Okay.
And I apologize. That's when I told you I'm in New York that day. I'm out of town.
Okay.
It's Paul. I intend to go, but my daughter has a softball game, so I don't know exactly which times. So I'll have to get back to you on the time.
Okay.
But it's 12 to 5, right?
Yes.
So I understand the township's providing us with a table under a tent, so we just need like the paper to go on the table, right? That's all.
Right, and and Stacy will have all that. I can go pick it up. But so we're getting, let's see, an 8-foot long table under a tent. And so we just need to set it up and be there to chat with people.
Great.
So, okay, so Paul, your daughter has a softball game. I have soccer at some point. Jennifer's out of town. Mary can be there. Kyle, Heather. I think Bob will probably be there.
I don't want to speak for Bob, but it sounded like he was available and I guess maybe he's going to be working that NFSA, or did he say which one he could do? Or both?
He's going to be part of the band and the FSA.
Oh, so he will have his hands full. He'll be really busy.
How about that
Okay.
Greg Sachs guy?
Yeah, who's the Greg Sachs guy that's sitting on the call? Maybe he wants to come.
Is that a live picture? Is that,
No,
I
it's
don't think
still,
it's a
it's
live
still
picture.
fiction. It's a still
I think he fell asleep.
I'm here. What's up, guys? I don't know what you're asking, but I'm probably not. I lost focus for a minute. How's it going? What are you talking about?
We're talking about the Fall Fun Day. Are you back in town?
I am back in town.
Okay, we
So,
were talking
yeah,
about the fall fun day and who might attend. And I think Jeff was just, or I think that Paul was just poking the
Well-
sleeping person in the hammock.
Well, no, if Greg's a good spokesperson and he knows a lot about our history. So if you're around on the 16th, come on by Crossing Park and visit with us and, speak to the residents who might stop by the table.
Yeah, I did plan on stopping over and checking it out. So yeah, I'll be there and I'll be happy to hang out and talk to you guys and talk to whoever.
Awesome. Okay,
I don't
well,
know if
I
this
hope
helps, but there is a volunteer website. I don't know if you want to formalize this, but there is a volunteer website that Stacy's managing. I know the board signed up to participate in different places based on that. I don't know if that makes life easier for people. There's actually times that you can sign up and that way someone keeps track of it. But you just might want to do it informally too. So whatever works best.
yeah, it might make sense just to, I think it sounds like Paul and I may need to wait on timing to confirm ourselves, but anyone else, I'll send the link out to everyone for the volunteer and go from there.
Kyle, did you say you are around or you are not around?
I am not around.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. Hopefully Heather can pop over and Bob and it'll be fine. It'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be fluid. Yeah.
It'll be fine. So, okay, awesome. All righty, back to the list. The next item was the disease on the oak trees over at Goodwin. Jeff, you were going to go out there with somebody. Did you have did you have a chance to? I know Heather, I think maybe heard from a friend of hers on a possible issue with them. Have you heard anything, or were you able to talk with your contact about that?
I was not able to get my contact out. He's been still busy on storm work, so I don't have anything. And I kind of remember Bob Magnus saying something too about someone, but I don't remember.
Yeah, Bob sent the pictures to somebody who had a guess at what it was, but it'd be great to hear a second opinion or someone actually physically see it.
Yeah, and I think Heather said, I'm just looking back at what Heather said. Sorry, I'm just scrolling real quick.
To me,
I may not be able to find it very quickly, but Heather did have somebody that put a name on it and said that, and I think gave a possible solution for trying to, help mitigate the issue. Sorry, I should have had that information pulled up. So I guess the question is, if it's probably something we want to try and get on rather quickly, if it's a big issue, should we, is the next step to wait for Jeff's guy, or is there somebody else we can call in to look at it? Anyone have suggestions?
I think if you know of someone else, I would ask them to give a quote.
Yeah,
I read somewhere, I have to think about where I saw it, but there is someone who does deal with diseased trees. It was a company. So let me look around and see if I can find that.
Yeah, it was one thing to identify it, but then whether or not it's treatable is a whole nother question, and whether we're willing to pay for it. So we have to get down that road. I think either Bob or Heather said, I don't remember what they said. It was like you only could treat it through injection or something. I don't remember. But there's, you know, true.
That was a lot.
50 trees or something.
Okay. I was trying to see if I could find it real quickly, but I cannot find that in the text message.
Well,
Okay.
who said that, Mary? Was that you?
Oh, Heather said that she talked to somebody, their close friend, who has been a tree guy for his whole career, and he said it's a leaf miner bug and it needs to be treated with a systemic insecticide like orthene, ORTHENE. He said a contact insecticide won't help.
So that's systemic, means you have to inject it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how to do that.
So Mary, if you could find a company that's interested in treating the trees or giving us a second opinion and a quote, you know, that would be great.
All right, sounds good.
I know a guy that lives in the township, but I don't know if he does injection. Yeah, please look. What I'm afraid is going to happen is the leaves are going to fall off and then we won't have treated it. And then another year will go by and it'll get worse.
Okay. And if anyone else comes across anything or you know, sees something about a company that manages things like that, then ask, please. Next item on the list was the arbor completion. Owen finished the arbor up at Crossan Park. I was there this past weekend. It looks really nice. I was looking for an update from Dawn, but it doesn't look like she's here tonight. Has anyone else gotten a chance to go see it?
I have. I think the pavers look really nice. I am not a huge fan of the white though.
The arbor's white.
The arbor is white. Yeah, I mean, I think it hopefully, depending on, you know, what I did not go feel it, but hopefully depending on whatever they built it out of, you know, if it's not, you know, raw wood, then it holds up a little bit better over time. And maybe that was the intention there.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I was just commenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it. I thought it looked pretty good. Dawn had a couple she brought at the last township meeting. And maybe I'm just used to the white color, I think, but I think it looks a lot. I mean, the pavers are beautiful and it just gives it a real presence.
Yeah, and I think once the bushes grow back in, I mean, everything was cut back quite a bit.
Right.
I agree that the white is a little stark, but I think it's going to look really nice once it's all grown back in, and I think it's going to look beautiful. And I mean, really a very cool project for him to do. I think that's it. That was a really good thing.
Did they put the sign on the top yet? Did it have the sign on it?
It did not have, I don't think it did have it, I was on the parking lot side and I don't think that I don't recall seeing a sign.
Well, maybe when they put the sign, it'll tone it down a little bit. But I think it's a wooden sign.
Okay. Yeah, but I thought it looked really nice. It looked really nice. Okay, well, everyone will see it at Fall Fun Day. That's for sure. Next up at Bamshire, the trail machine is needed. I left this on the list. I'm sure, Paul, you probably have not had time to kind of.
Yeah, no, I got a contact person from Matt that was on the call, and I texted the guy, but haven't heard back. So, yay, Paul, I did something, but I have no good news.
Okay.
Last I talked to you, we were going to try to catch up because my husband said maybe he'd be willing to help you or see if his company might be willing to rent it or use their account. But
yeah, I just don't know where to rent it, and I did not try. I forgot to try what you said. Was it Sunbelt or United?
yeah, that's who we have our corporate account with. Yeah.
Let me try Sunbelt. I did not try them.
Okay, moving on. We need to finish placing the stone around the trees at Crossan Park. Betsy and Heather volunteered to do this. Betsy's the neighbor up at Crossan. I was emailing with her she's out of town and she won't be back until after Fall Fun Day. And so it was not something that was going to happen before Fall Fun Day. I'm not sure that mattered necessarily. But I think it was something we were going to try and see if we could make happen, but that's not going to happen. So, but they absolutely still want to do it. And we'll just, and I'll keep in contact with her and keep everyone posted on it. Okay.
It sounds good. And that was something that they want to get done. If Greg's on the call, it's something that it's better to be done before Christmas, or it's
Before
like
the
a winter.
Yeah.
Before winter. Okay.
Yes.
Remember, we have to coordinate the mowing. Like if you're going to do it, it's good to have it mowed just before you do it, a week or two before.
Remind me who does that mowing, Jeff? Is it the township guys?
Yes, we had done it about 3-4 weeks ago to try and make it look good for the Fall Fest.
It might still be low enough, but I'm just commenting that if the grass is like a foot tall, it makes it hard to put the gravel around the tubes.
Okay. I'll mention that to Betsy. Okay. New business. We were contacted by Bowden McDaniel. He is looking for his Eagle Scout project to do, and he was wondering if we had any ideas within the township that he could help with. I emailed him back, but I never did hear from him. I kind of threw it out into the group via text yesterday, and Paul came up with a couple ideas and mentioned things that needed to be done. Does anyone, and we can review that now. Paul's suggestion, sorry, Paul.
Do we still have a guy who's planning to do the trail signage?
I think so. So we talked last meeting with Liam Kelly about trail signage.
Yeah.
I have not heard back from him. I did email him after the meeting. I emailed him a copy of the trail map for Franklin and Crossan. And I haven't heard anything, but I think it is still something that he's very interested in. My guess is he's got to gather information. So
and just the last time we were here, that we had a Boy Scout, and then he was supposed to attend the Board of Supervisors meeting. Did he ever do that?
No.
He didn't. Okay.
It seemed, I recall, maybe it was his father, somebody was speaking, saying they're going to put together a proposal now that they know we're interested in that and come back to us, was my recollection. But
I think so.
Okay.
I think it was still pretty early in the process, and he was just trying to gather ideas and make sure it was something that everyone would do.
Yeah, well, and that's why I sent you all some pictures of some signage I saw last week, because I thought it was a nice trail signage example to share with him. Because we don't want him to go down the path of something that's not what we do in the township, or not typical, or you know what I mean? Like, if you look at the signs in Goddard Park, I don't like that at all. It's just highway reflectors on a flexible fiberglass pole. I don't think it's very helpful. So I'd like to get those examples to the guy, but
I could send them over to him.
Can you? Because I
will. Yes, absolutely.
I texted him. If you can convert it to email, or he has a text, either way. But I thought we should discuss them as a group, and we decide what we want. I was just throwing out examples. It doesn't.
All right. Well, here, let me open it up and let's all take a look at it.
Okay.
I have.
And what I find with these Boy Scouts, and Greg can attest to this, is it's hard to keep the project moving. Like, they're not really good at communicating. It's their school is in the way, or sports. It's so he's got to keep on top of them a little bit.
Okay. I am.
There's one more that just had a real simple. Oh wait, maybe it's hidden under your face. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. I think they're all there. So I think these are all very nice. I was kind of expecting, especially if it's a Boy Scout project, that maybe that first kind of basic directional sign would be, very doable.
So,
Um,
so I like those, and I think of those as kind of a homemade sign. The Boy Scout could do it, but they're not allowed to use power tools, so it would end up being the parents. And that's very possible. They might do that. He might be interested in that. Maybe there's a handy parent in the group that wants to do that. They're not as permanent, but I think they look nice, but they're not as permanent. And then the next example, the next two examples there, that's one was aluminum, like a blank, and the other was like a aluminum plastic sandwich, like you see most signs are nowadays. It's a plastic core with aluminum on the outsides, and it was obviously professionally printed. Almost all of these signs were printed by Voss Signs, VOSS. Their name was on the bottom.
And then my only comment about, I really like the first ones because they seem more natural, but then if we're going to be adding on to this, would it be maybe something that we would want it to be more consistent, and so give the Boy Scout like a,
Template, yeah.
to use the same company so that we can make sure that, they all kind of, we don't have like 50 different kinds of signs as we add on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess I'm not very familiar with what the parameters are around the project. So no power tools. Is it something that, he would obviously have to install signs, but then he can
Yeah,
buy
so-
them, or he could.
That's right. He could
Okay.
raise the money to buy them. And so when we did Banffshire, it was a Boy Scout project, and I could pull up example of that. That was a color-coded trail signage with arrows. And a few of us made the signs. We routed the post out and inserted the plastic blank. And then the boys, the scouts, dug the holes, carried the signs out, installed them, drew a map of where they would go, the other things like that. So
I like that concept a lot. I think we talked about last time that maybe at Crossan, there's so many trails, that's not doable, right?
well, that's why, see the very last one on your screen, the one that's just a simple arrow,
Yep.
that was kind of the wayfinding sign that marks you along the trail.
Mhm.
And then when you get to an intersection, then there's an informative sign, which is a little more expensive there. That's the number 2 and 3,
Yep.
where at an intersection is the only time you have to say, go this way, go that way. So that's how you accommodate all those many, many trails. Don't bother with trail numbering or colors, or maybe just a few, like, maybe the big loop is one color and then all the other connecting trails are a different color or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Frankly.
And that's for him to figure out, right?
Yeah. So I just like this concept. And then this is a little bit maybe too in depth, but the very first picture, the wooden one, this was the Adirondack Mountain Club. They did something I've never seen before, but at the top of that picture, could you click on that? At the top of that picture is a number. And so when you're looking at a trail map, at the intersection, there was a number at the intersection.
I don't know if you can see that. Do I need to switch screens? Let's see. Yeah,
I still
hold
see
on.
the 6 pictures. Maybe you could drag it over. Yeah, there you
Okay.
go.
Got
See
it?
at the top, it says number 31. It's barely in the picture.
Yep.
So when you're holding their map, it said number 31 at that intersection. So then you knew where you were on the map. So I thought that was a pretty neat idea. Sometimes, even with this information, people are like, well, I don't know which way to go, or where am I on this map? So the added identifier was a pretty cool idea, I thought. Anyway, we can work through all that with the Boy Scout, but the idea was these are about 6 inches by a foot. And then the other ones, the metal ones, were a bit smaller, maybe 4 or 5 inches by 10 inches or a foot, something like that.
And then I think there was a text about it, like we would definitely discourage any nailing it into a tree. Like it would have to be all post, nothing.
Yeah. Well, our trails are pretty small. And so go to the last picture. I think if you click on it, it'll come up at the bottom there. Oops.
Sorry, lost you. Okay. Getting there. There we go.
Yeah, so that one you can see is screwed to a tree, and they keep it off the tree so the tree can grow. And I don't prefer that, but these trails were, very long, miles and miles long, so they weren't going to carry posts up into the mountains to put them, so they just nail them to the tree. So I don't think it's, life threatening to the tree, but I would prefer the post. Just, it seems to be more appropriate for a preserve.
Mhm.
And so, as I said, this is just a wayfinding sign. Can you zoom in? I think on this one, you can see it says Voss Signs. And they're a really big company. We ordered our preserve signs from Voss Signs.
Can
See,
you
it says
that?
Voss Sign there.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen on the outside of all our preserves, it says nature preserves, no hunting, no, open daylight hours and things like that. And so that's where we got them from.
From
Hey,
Voss.
Go to the next one. I want to go through them quick. I didn't mean to
Okay.
spend so much time on them.
Sure, no, that's fine. Okay.
No, we've already seen that, but
Oh, you
get the
want to go
idea.
to this guy?
Yeah, this was great. This was go to the one next to it. It's just a beautiful view, and you don't appreciate that unless somebody points out that, hey, we preserve this, otherwise this would be houses. And so I thought this was pretty slick how they just put the little QR code to take you to learn more, about land preservation or the land trust and things like that.
Yeah, the thing I don't like though is because we use these signs for political purposes, they don't last, right? So here it's against a rock, so I think that helps. But if you just have it on those little metal spokes, the wind blows them and they fall over. And
Yeah, I agree. I think they just put it out because it was newly preserved. But my idea, Donna, I got permission from the board before, was the farms that we have preserved in our township now, nobody knows where they are or what work we've done, and we did a poor job of advertising it. So I've sent a few pictures to the group of preserved farms, and there's a sign out front that says this farm is permanently preserved, and then that's where we would put the QR code, learn more or something like that.
yeah, and I think I don't have a problem with the sign itself. It's just that it's something a little more permanent than those little metal spokes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on the last one we did on Auburn Road, we specifically wrote it in the agreement that there would be a sign out front, which we haven't put up yet, but
No, you have it there, but that's good.
I think that's
Yeah.
great. I do think if we're going to do this, then we've got to consider, adding to the website. There needs to be something that somebody can link to, right? So the QR code has
Yeah,
to take you to something.
course.
So that's another thing we'd have to figure out. I will say I was on London Britton Township's, their land trust website, and they have done something similar where they have a whole page of the different preserved lands. And that is a really great, it's a really great resource. And I think everyone should take a look at it when they have a chance.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we have our preserved lands in our comprehensive plan, but it's, it's like page 250 or something. We don't
Yeah.
really, I don't, maybe we have it on the website, maybe I'm misspoken, but I think it's good to advertise it. I don't remember. All right, well, that was it. That was all my sign fun. I thought I just thought of the Boy Scout when I saw these signs and thought I'd take pictures for examples for the group.
Yeah, so this is great for, I guess, Liam Kelly. So I'll send this all over to him. Does anyone have ideas for Bowden McDaniel? I mean, I asked him to come to us with ideas, but Jeff mentioned we will need at some point a little bridge at Crossan Park back on that trail between the soccer field and the lower lot.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any ideas?
There's a small bridge like that needed in Banffshire, just a small one, I promise. And it's a Boy Scout project where currently the two of us who mow in there, me and the other volunteer named Chris, we can't get our mowers across. I can't get mine across and he can't get his across. It's just a very little stream that you can step over, it's not for the people, but since we can't get the mowers across it because it's such a steep drop, the mower can't get through. The bridge would really help enable mowing, and otherwise we have to weed whack a large section of the trail by hand, and then what happens is it never gets done. So that's why it's never been a priority, because you can step over the stream, but it would be nice to have, if we got a Boy Scout willing to do it, it'd be a great project.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll reach out to him and I'll send this information his way. Anyone else have any thoughts? I mean, I think those sound like two both very good projects, but
I don't have any Boy Scouts in my family, and I'm not really, and Paul, you seem like you know, is there any, I guess like benefit to maybe having like maybe once a year or twice a year, like having the Boy Scout troops come to the township and maybe us do some type of presentation, or, so instead of like Andrew having to keep going back to each Boy Scout individually, maybe like having a bunch of Boy Scouts come out to the township and kind of understand how the process works. I mean, I have no problem with us meeting with them piecemeal, but maybe we would be able to like get a whole bunch of Boy Scouts at one time and kind of maybe drum up some interest and have some relationship with a troop.
Yeah, but Jim German was in the local troop, and he was kind of our liaison when he was in our group. But sure, but only the Eagle Scouts, which is the highest level scout, have to do these community projects. So that's why you kind of get onesie twosies as they mature into the age of Eagle Scout. They need to do this project.
Right, but
And
even
some-
if we got them younger, then maybe they might even stay in the troops longer because they know that this is a possibility, and then it's not as intimidating when they get to the end.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they don't always come to Franklin Township. They can go to a church or the Little League or a school, or it has to be public service, not for a private benefit, and it can't be for the Boy Scouts. It has to be for some other group, not the Boy Scouts.
Right. And I've seen varying degrees of, like, I've been to soccer fields in Cecil County where they have like this massive pavilion that a Boy Scout did. And then I was just at the SPCA where they put literally like the tiniest pond in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, well, they both got their Eagle
They
Scout for
did.
the same, like, that's the same level. I'm like, so
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say to get like super ambitious, but I guess, we could always reach out to Jim and see if that might be something that we could, and I could work with you, like if we could get a couple Boy Scouts.
Well, there's, and I think there's still 3 active troops in our area, so you'd have to reach out to 3 different troops.
Okay.
There's a few.
I just feel bad that Andrew's gonna have to keep reaching out to high school or whatever.
it's okay. They don't really email back, so.
Well,
No, that's
well,
what I'm
one-
saying, is if maybe we could have like a subcommittee of the Parks and Rec to like, to kind of be like, okay, like this is what you need to do. Let's like prepare some type of like, like checklist.
I think you're onto something there. Is just prepare a checklist when we do get somebody. It's like an explainer sheet, because I've typed that email many times of what the Boy Scout needs to do, and then we can hand it to them. That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, because it just seems like it's going back to Liam. It's like, I know Andrea is going to go back to him. I don't think he's on here, but it seemed like his dad was more interested in the project and pushing it. And they seem very shy and reluctant when you first get them. And then,
Well, that's what they're learning. They're learning presentation skills, public speaking, project management. That's all what they're learning. Yeah.
right. And so maybe if they had something like that to start with, it wouldn't be like dad saying, hey, you need to ask this question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
and-
mean, so maybe if Paul, if you have sent, an email to them many times, kind of listing what needs to be done, we could very easily, kind of translate that into a form of whatever, PowerPoint, I don't know.
And one thing to remember though is they're actually interviewing us as much as we're interviewing them, because we do give out scout projects, and some townships don't have a group that give out and have no interest of it. But I think it's a great free labor. I think it's great community service, and I want to help the Boy Scouts.
No, and it's their own community. They should.
It's their own community,
for them
but
to work in their community.
there's some townships that don't do it, don't cooperate, don't provide projects, and I'm like, really? So, but they're shopping around, like they're seeing what we have, and then they're going to go next to maybe their church or their school group or something, soccer club, see what they have. Maybe they want to do the rain garden at the church instead of doing a bridge in Bamshire.
A hole in the ground at the SPCA. I was like shocked. Like that counted as the Eagle Scout project, but this giant pavilion with like 20 picnic tables was also an Eagle Scout project. It just seemed like they very varying degrees of Eagle Scout project.
Yes.
Definitely are. We had one, 2 years ago that planted 6 trees and 6 birdhouses or something. It was pretty
Right.
minimal.
Okay, all right, well, I think maybe that wraps up that topic. Under new business, Paul texted me after I had already emailed out the agenda. I think one item on his list to discuss tonight is the hunting season prep, and just kind of reviewing upcoming, what's coming up. When does hunting season start? How is, I don't know, Paul, if you want to.
Well, so Mary pointed out that hunting season starts on the day of the Franklin Fun Day. So that's the first day of bow season is what she wrote. I didn't check that, but it sounds right. It's usually mid-September, so that sounds right. And I felt like, as we're responsible for the preserves, it was something that we used to have the hunting club come to us and show that they're ready for the season. There's some requirements the township, there's a few that the township still requires. They've gotten rid of most requirements, but a few, like make sure the boundaries are marked, make sure the signs are up posting what the hunting season is for this year, and explaining that, please check the board and the website to understand if there's a hunter in the woods. Post those signs at the entrances to the preserves, and then mark the boundaries. They're supposed to put up a marker for I might get the numbers wrong, but it's 150 yards for the archery and 300 yards 300 feet, I think is what it is for a gun. But whatever the boundaries are, they're supposed to mark the boundaries so that the hunting doesn't get too close to a neighbor's house or neighboring property or whatever. And so then the last one was to make sure the hunters have done their proficiency test for the season. They used to report, hey, we have 35 members and 30 of them took the proficiency test and 28 passed or something like that. We weren't allowed to know who the people were. It's kind of the honor system that they've done their test and that they're ready to hunt.
And they do it this year, or is ammo still expensive?
I don't know. I'm just asking for an update, and maybe Bob's update would be, hey, we're not going to do it this year. We're not going to do any of that prep. But, I don't remember what the board requires. And
Donna or Jeff, can you give us some insight on?
Yeah, I don't. I thought that we had suspended that, but I think instead of me guessing, we should check and get back to you. But I remember us having a conversation about.
Well, you suspended it last year because ammo was expensive, which, it's only 6 shots is all that's required to do this.
Yeah, but so Paul, I hate to guess, but can we check and unless Jeff knows off the top of the head, I thought we took a vote, and I thought it was beyond just 1 year, but I could be wrong. So what can we'll send you an email and get back to you. But in terms of when Paul, when you say we, you mean, did they present to the pro or did they present to the board this information?
So when the hunting first started down at the Game Commission recommended that we have a community board made up of hunters and non-hunters to manage the hunting, because there was no parks committee back then. So it was a community board. That lasted for 3 years, but they would report to the board that they're ready. They did the provisions, all those things I just talked about. And then Auerbach broke up that board. He said, we're no longer going to have a hunting board. They're just going to be self-regulated.
Okay.
So, but now that we have the pro, I felt like maybe they're not required to come talk to us, but it would be kind of a courtesy. And especially we have Bob as the liaison. Unfortunately, he couldn't come here tonight, to just give us an update that they're ready. It's like, it shouldn't be a secret, right? It should be, hey, we're ready. We have the safety precautions in place. The signs are up, the website counter's up, those types of things.
Well, is this something that would have ever been posted? Sorry to interrupt, but is this something that ever would have been posted on the Franklin Township website? I know the FSA has their own.
The website should be up to date. I mean, that's part of what they need to do to be prepared, is to have the website up to date.
Yeah, Andrea, if you go into the township website, there's a link to the FSA.
I thought that was down last time I looked. I was unable to actually access.
And I think in talking to Jim when we went out to the to Crossan, he was saying it's like it was down and that they're getting it ready for the new season.
Okay,
To Paul's point, you know, we've had, when Jim was on the board, he was able to, like, we actually had Dave Gerstenhaber, we all had it, and we tried to open the website, and that's when we discovered that the website, I think, Paul, if you remember, this was like 2 or 3 years ago during COVID,
Yeah.
that the website was not working and it consistently failed. And Dave Gerstenhaber, you know, made it a point to work with them to get that up and running. So
it is up and running right now. I'm looking at it.
So, and I don't want to start a big fight with the hunters, you know, everybody yells at me that I'm picking on them or something, but just like we just talked about preparation and are we ready for Fun Day, I would think we would have the same preparation and comments and feedback for the start of a 5.5-month hunting season.
Yeah, I guess I keep on saying I'm 1 of 5, so this is just me speaking as one of the 5 board members. I think that would be helpful if they came to the board on a board meeting and just said, you know, we're the FSA, we're getting ready for hunting seasons, because they do a report at every meeting. Hunting season starts at X date. We've done.
Yeah, well, they probably will. And I thought, you know, Don, I thought we were supposed to be helping you get them ready and make sure they are ready. Because once you have your meeting, it's like the week before they start and it's too late, or it's the week after.
Yeah, I guess, so once again, 1 of 5, I don't see the pro's job to get the FSA ready for hunting. I think it's the FSA's job to get the FSA ready for hunting, and they need to report to the board to make that case. So, but that's just me. I'm 1 of 5. I mean, if you have a different opinion, bring it to the board.
But wouldn't it be our responsibility as those who are kind of in charge of the parks and preserves to educate people on?
So you're not in charge of the parks and the preserves. You're a board that provides advice. So you're not really in charge of anything, right? You're there to provide advice to the board, to suggest projects, and to really be an advocate. But I wouldn't say you're in charge. I just want to be clear. The board's
excuse my term, but you got my point.
So I'm only 1 of 5. I don't think the FSA needs to report into the pro. No, I don't. That's my opinion.
Well,
I think they should tell the board.
There is no requirement. I'm not saying it's a requirement. I said it's a courtesy, especially since we specifically have Bob as a liaison. And I'm sure if Bob were here, he'd be happy to tell us what the situation is.
I couldn't agree. I mean, if Bob wants to do that, I think that's totally fine. I think I don't have a problem with that.
But if you're saying we don't have a right to ask, that's kind of.
No, I didn't say you had a right. No, I don't think they have to come to you. I don't think they have an obligation. Maybe the wording's wrong. They don't have an obligation to do that. But I think as Bob is a liaison, that's one of the advantages of having Bob. It would be a courtesy for Bob to give you that information. I totally agree with that. But I think the people that they have an obligation to come to and make the case is the board. I think that is part of what they need to do. As when they come and they do the report to the board, I think they should tell us we've done X, Y, and Z and we're ready. If they want to do it, if Bob wants to provide that information to the pro too, I think that's great. I think that's fine. But the obligation is to the board, in my opinion.
Andrea, while you have that open, can you see when it says calendars active hunting zones? Is that, so there's supposed to be a link that shows where.
So there's a link so I just popped through. So there's a link to the different preserves. So if we go to Bamshire was most recently updated, right? The board just passed that they could close that one section. And I guess let's see if that's updated. And I mean, I think that was one of the reasons they were trying, right? They said they were trying to pass their proposals so quickly was so that they could update the website. So let's.
Yes, and I will tell you, and I don't know if this actually happened. I mean, Jim did say that it's very expensive, and they were, I guess, making an argument that they were going to try to move away from this. But you know, the requirement is it's like required by the ordinance that they are supposed to maintain this website.
Well, it looks like it's up and running. Looks good.
So the website is up and running. I was expecting when I clicked on Bamshire that it would be
like a map,
the actual map, not I guess what it is where people could put in when they're hunting, and these specific, this is where they document is that right?
This is where they document their time of hunting, but up at the top it says links to preserve maps.
See it in the right hand side.
Oh yeah.
But last year they weren't working. Yeah, you need access. Yeah.
And you're
Nope.
supposed to be able to look at the map.
Yeah, because that way you know where the different zones are. How else do you know where the zones are?
Right, and so the ordinance's purpose, according to the way Dave explained it to us, a couple years ago, was that you're supposed to be able to look at the map and say like, okay, someone's hunting in zone A.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
some
it
of the
looks like Franklin Preserve is.
Yeah, it works. That works. Yeah.
working.
Banffshire didn't. That's the same as last year. Half of them worked, half didn't. Yep.
Yeah, go through them all. Let's see what's working, what's not. Okay, so
So Goodwin didn't, Bancher didn't.
So Donna, I
And-
noticed your next township board meeting is after the start of hunting season, so it would be probably too
yeah, but
late.
we can get, so I can send, or Jeff can send Jim a message today or tomorrow morning saying, we looked at the website. It's not, the maps are, you can't get them all. And also, we just need some assurance that you've done what needs to be done to, based on on our agreement to hunt. So how are you gonna, how's the FSA going to demonstrate that to the
And
board?
that's the sole reason we wanted to bring it up tonight, Donna. It seemed like no one was checking on it, and I thought it was our job to at least bring it up and make sure it was
And so-
ready to go.
and so
Like
Paul,
even if it's the little league, I would say,
Yeah.
Jeff, did you mow the infield? You know what I mean? Like it's just part of our,
Yeah, we're not trying to be,
yeah.
we're just trying to, bring this to their attention. So Paul, the way I understood it a couple years ago was like, you'd hit the calendar and you see where it says A, B, C, D, and you
Yes.
match that to the map, and then and I've always argued it's not easy for the average hiker to look at this. Like it would be.
Well,
easy.
the average hiker is not gonna go out for a hike and be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna mosey into, section A. I wonder if anyone's hunting here today. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Well, that was the idea, that before people leave their house, they could check if there's someone there. And otherwise, you see the map at the parking lot, but then it's too late. And I think we don't advertise this service well
Right,
enough.
and so that's what Andrea, we were trying to get more people to look at this before they go out or if they plan something.
It should be stated at each entrance to the park, and it was for the first year, and the hunters took it down. So I had written something and put it up personally, and they took it down. So
Well,
Would
you know what
just
would
trying
actually be very good would be if on that notice saying that there was, that it was an active hunting area, if there was a QR code that linked somebody back
Oh,
to
yeah.
this where they could see if
yes,
somebody was hunting there that day. Now, I know that that's a lot to ask of the FSA to try and to put that together, but I something like that, I could see somebody absolutely, that would be very easy for somebody
Well,
to.
I think it would be acceptable for us or the township to tell them what to write at the entrance to the parks, like what, provide the text and the QR code. That wouldn't be unacceptable, I don't think.
Yeah, and the QR code, Andrea, could link back even to the Franklin Township page to where that link was that you pulled up for this document. We don't even need to, I would argue the burden wouldn't even need to be on the FSA, but maybe on the township. To open the link. 'cause it's-
Yeah. It almost seems like if there were different QR codes, the QR code could link back to that Excel document showing where a hunter was at if they were planning on hunting in section A at 3:00, or I don't know anything about that, but I don't know the best way to do it, but
Just a thought though, can we, I don't know if this is too much to ask, but is there any way we can draw the zones on like the updated map so that when someone does look at the map, they're like, oh, okay, this trail goes here. Because with this map, it's just from what Chesco views, I think, like there's
Yeah.
no personal township data on it.
Oh, okay. I agree
Yeah.
with you. I see what you mean, like to make it be our map instead of.
Yeah, we have a trail map and we have this map, but they're never together. And you're right, it would be more helpful if they were together.
so I
But-
guess the
Maybe that's
question
something
is,
Bob would be willing to help and maybe like mediate that between the FSA and.
Well, it's right here. You just have to copy it. This is clearly just handwritten.
Jeff, do you have any ideas on QR codes? I know you did a QR code for the fall festival. Is that something we can talk to Jim Johnson and the FSA about?
I mean, that's something I can easily do through a program I use called Flow Code.
Okay,
So I can create a QR code and have it go to any or, a specific website. That's I can do that within minutes.
And
Yeah,
Jeff,
so-
they could then place that QR code on the hunting board that's at the individual parks and preserves. And then if somebody was there, they could literally hit the QR code and it would take them right to these maps.
The map for the individual, for not, I think it would need to go to the specific map for that preserve, not the township, not the FSA website, would be my suggestion.
Well, someone needs to draw the hunting zones on it for me, and then I'm happy to do the flow codes, the QR codes.
Let me talk to Bob about the maps and stuff, and I can let you guys know what he has to say.
Oh, thank you so much. I think he'd be more than willing to try to work something out like that. That
Yeah,
would-
I think that all of I would think everyone on the FSA would be open to that. I mean, it just, I don't know why they wouldn't, so.
Yeah, and I will say, Andrea, I guess I don't know if Paul agrees with it. Like, they were very reluctant to even maintain the website a couple years ago. So, like, I think Bob is more open to it than.
I think
has
once
been in the
Dave
past.
Gerstenhaber clarified that it was a requirement, they were okay with doing it.
Required by the ordinance, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, so,
So I'm gonna send Jim Johnson an email to deal with the issue about validating that they're ready for hunting season based on the requirements of the ordinance. I'll do that. And then, Jeff, you're gonna work on QR codes, but I think Mary, you said you're gonna talk to Bob? Or how we gonna make that second part happen?
so Mary probably needs to talk to Bob first and get the maps together.
Okay,
Or ask Bob, and then once those maps are together, because the map's already done, right, Mary? So it would be very easy just to draw the line, with Bob, draw
Right.
the areas on them and then get them
The only thing,
together.
Andrea, is now the bigger issue is like the FSA website's not working. So, I mean.
yeah,
if
well, I'll
you-
do that. I'll alert Jim to that, so I can.
Okay,
I can do
excellent.
that.
Thank you.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
think they need to be done simultaneously. Like, they need to have their website up and running by September 16th to be in compliance with the ordinance. I think the
Right.
QR code is like a bonus.
Gotcha, right, and I can take care of that with the, with my message, and then, of course, Jeff, I'll copy you on that, so we'll get Jim on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, and Donna, you're gonna follow up about whether or not the proficiency test.
Right, because I don't know that
Well,
answer,
all the
Find out what we agree.
requirements, whatever the
All the,
requirements.
you'll follow up on all the requirements.
right,
And
Right.
I also, with the map, and there is a statement they post every year stating this is active hunting zone, where orange, these are the dates of the season, whatever. And I would like to add just a sentence that says, please check this website for the calendar before you come out. And then here's the QR code for quicker access or something, just explain what the QR code is what I'm trying to say.
Got it.
Yeah, one thing that they post is we have to be clear, it's only members of the hunting club can hunt. Like, if people walk in and say, oh, I can hunt in zone A, we want to make it clear to the public, it's not open for public hunting. That's something they already put in the phrasing, is what I remember. Anyway, let's move off this topic.
Okay, that's all I had. Anyone else have anything?
What's going on with the Franklin Township Trail Committee? Have we heard any more about that?
yeah, it's not a trails committee, and I'll just, it was about trying, at least it wasn't called that, it was more about trying to increase connectivity, so people can walk different areas. It wasn't about creating trails. And one of the things that we talked about was like striping on roads. So as opposed to creating a trail. I didn't go to the last meeting. So Jeff, maybe you could update the pro on what happened at the last meeting.
Well, again, they basically talked about whether to stripe or not to stripe. It ended up that we did end up striping. So they had talked about a bike lane or not having the center stripes, but just the two white dash lines on each side of the road. But we're not meeting in September. There's nothing to discuss. I would anticipate us having a meeting in October.
So, Jeff, I had requested to be invited to that. Did you guys invite me to the?
Well, it's a public meeting. Just come.
We haven't had a meeting yet since you made that request, Paul.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
So
Donna,
that's
I'd
why I
love
was
to come.
saying it's going to
I'm
be
just-
in October.
I'm just asking to let me know when it is what I'm saying, Donna, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
I haven't-
Jeff
I ha-
always reminds me because I forget about it. But is it the second Wednesday, Jeff? for the
Second
month?
Wednesday. And believe me, Paul, I haven't forgotten about you.
You're the best. So I know, Donna, it's not a trail, and I understand that, but some of it might be on a road, some of it might be whatever, but whatever you want to call it, a connection, walkway, something,
Right.
because it's biking too, right?
Well, and I think it's more like the road, like they're looking at all kinds of things, but the biking is definitely part of it. Being able to go
Yeah.
out your door and not have to get into a car.
But just
go
as you
somewhere.
saw I think it's great. And just as you saw with Matt, though, there are a lot of options off-road. And so it's the combination of some on, some off road is what's going to get you there. And that's the exciting part for me, is to try to work through all of that. All right, so I have one more topic, would be just maybe well, Bob's not here, but like when the FSA is going to do volunteer activities in the parks, I thought maybe this let us know, just like a Boy Scout would or any other volunteer group would let us know, because just like 2 days after our last meeting, they went in the park and did an activity. I thought, oh, well, that would have been nice for Bob to just let us know. And maybe he wasn't aware of it, but between Jeff and Bob, I think somebody should just say, just as a courtesy, and maybe some of us would go participate, cut vines or whatever they're doing, paint playground equipment, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And then the other one would be for Jeff, like the next day after our meeting, I went to Crossing Park and there was a mountain of mulch in the parking lot. I'm like, wow, I guess we're gonna put new playground mulch in the playground. And you probably do that every year or whatever, but I just thought that was a pretty interesting thing to know. And maybe the group would be interested to know when you're doing big projects at the park like that. So just more communication with our group. Not that we want to control what you do, Jeff. You do the maintenance stuff very well. We want you to keep doing it. Just kind of let us know what's going on.
Okay, Jeff?
Okie dokie.
It looks good though, Jeff. It looks really nice. They did a nice job between painting the tot lot and the mulch. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
All ready for the fun day.
So I have one comment, is where we store the mulch. It's called the middle lot, maybe. I don't know what you call it, Jeff, but the middle lot across the street on Franklin Preserve border, you store some mulch. And there's the rake for the infields. It's a metal riding ring rake for horses. And we store it there on the concrete upside down. So the tines are facing up, and it's just really dangerous.
I think we've had this conversation before, haven't we?
Yeah,
I
we
think
We
did.
have had this conversation before. I have reminded the contractor about it. And I've personally gone out and folded it up myself. So I will keep on it.
Well, I just wondered if maybe there's a different place, or you can fold it up. I didn't know that. That's a good option.
I just the tines over top each other. If you have an alternate location where you think we can store
No, I
it
don't-
there, I'd love to hear it, Paul.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. But I saw a kid playing in the mulch pile. And I was like, oh man, he's like 15 feet from those tines, and it scares me. So, okay. Yeah, let them know to please turn it over, or what you said, fold it up. That's just
I've
for
seen it
safety.
too. Is it possible? I mean, I know it's an expense, but maybe is it possible to get like a deck box or some type of like locking?
No, it's big. It's too big. You'd have to have a shed.
Okay.
You'd have to have a shed that a tractor can drive in and drop it off.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we need that. I mean, you could buy a piece of plywood and lay it on top of it and strap it on it or something, it'd be a cheap fix. But if rolling it over works, Jeff, I didn't know you could do that. That sounds good to me. Thanks. We were watering some trees in the spring. Did any of them die? Are there any memorial trees that didn't make it?
Off the top of my head, there are probably 3 that have died.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Do you know if it's within a year? 'Cause I think we got a 1-year warranty, didn't we?
I don't know if it's within a year or not. We had relied on Mr. Sachs for that, so I can't give you a good answer. I'd be guessing.
We have to have a record of it somewhere to go check.
That's what I was
don't
gonna say. Is Greg the only one with a record of it, or does the township have that?
No, it's the township. The township orders the plaques, and so we could read the plaque and decide when the plaque was bought, determine when the tree was bought.
Is that something Stacy could help me with? If I email her about it?
So I would assume so. Yeah, Jeff's on mute.
Yes.
I was going to comment though, which trees? If anybody's going to be in the park in the next couple of days, maybe you could take a peek at which trees and just jot down the plaques or take a picture, and then
I'll be there tomorrow night for soccer practice. I'll look.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I think the name on the plaque would help us identify when it was planted.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Okay, anyone else? Everyone's quiet tonight. Okay.
I do want to talk to everyone when we're off of YouTube about something personal. So I just wanted to throw that out there so nobody signed off.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will vote to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Okay.